Well, welcome back to Level Up with Zeddy and Tiffany. We're here Thursday nights from 7 to 9, and we are so excited right now because we have Crystal in the house. Woo, 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 woo. We need our, hang on, we've got we've got some applause. I like it. So, I wanted to introduce you guys to Crystal Tollett, and we are actually workmates. We work together in real estate, and she is just a shining star everywhere she goes. I mean, this sounds really stupid, but it's the truth. You kind of radiate light. You just are. You just radiate, and even just sitting here, you can see it.
Sweet.
It is. It's true, though. You're kind. You are thoughtful. It's always been something that has that I have seen in you, and that's why I was super excited a while back when you started talking about your book. And I just think that it takes an incredible leap of faith to really do what is in your heart and to bring your journey into it. And so I'm going to read your bio, and then I want to get going with your story. So bear with me. I'm going to read this out to you guys. Crystal Tollett's debut novel, Bonded by Hate, Torn Apart by Love, has been a vision 20 years in the making. With an unwavering urge to write, she has used her own personal experiences as a blueprint for her writings and the core of her character development. Crystal writes in several genres. One, it's contemporary romance, romantic suspense, inspirational children's fiction. Every character contains a piece of her, which makes them more relatable to her audience, and her writings are purpose-filled, humorous, and thoughtful. An Arkansas native, Crystal currently resides in Dallas, Texas, where she is creating. When she's not creating, Crystal enjoys her career as a real estate professional. So, and yes, we can always help you with real estate if you need it.
Yes.
So,
Welcome to Level Up, Crystal. We are so excited to have you.
Listen, I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I
Of course.
love you guys, and I've always loved your spirit. So
oh, thank you.
super happy to be here.
We can be best friends. Oh wait, no, sorry. Okay,
Girl,
3 best friends.
you tread.
Good in 3.
So first of all, tell us about your journey. Tell us what was inside of you that you felt like needed to become a book. Kind of lead us through that, and then I want to kind of ask you particulars.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I used to love when the book fair came around, Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah,
I
did
was
too.
like, it was on the stage in the auditorium. They had all the lights shining down, and I loved it. And Berenstein Bears, those were my people.
Yeah.
And I loved whenever it was like Halloween or Christmas, especially like the
too.
Halloween.
books.
Yeah. I loved it. So as a kid, I would always read a lot. I always wrote, and when I was transitioning from moving from our rental home to an apartment, I had this Trapper Keeper, and it was
I
an
did
asphalt
too.
blue.
Oh, asphalt blue.
Asphalt blue. I remember it, and it had like a jean material or something to it.
Nice.
And I would write stories in there. I used to write like horror stories with comedic twist. So like as I'm older and I'm kind of looking back, I'm like, I wrote that when I was like a kid.
Wow.
But when we transitioned from where we were living, someone broke in and stole my Trapper Keepers,
Keeper.
all my writings, and so I just kind of I don't think that was like why that kind of stopped for me, but I just remember that I have no writings from when I was a kid, and growing up, I just didn't read books or anything, And when I graduated, getting ready to graduate from high school, my aunt sat me down, my Aunt Charlene, and she said, "So what are you going to do with yourself?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to write a book, but I'm going to go to college and get a degree, but I'm going to write a book and I'm going to self-publish." This was 20 years ago.
Wow.
And I didn't know what the book was going to be about. But I had the title in my head, which is Bonded by Hate, Torn Apart by Love. So I just sat on it. And so when people asked me what was going to happen with me in my career, I just always told them I was going to write a book. And so it wasn't until I was in my dorm at UTA in Arlington, UTA, I was trying to sleep, and dialogue woke me up out of my sleep. And I just literally started writing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how the story started. Didn't know what it was going to be about, never knew that, just always had the title. And so
Is this a fictional book or
it is
self-help?
fictional, but it is life experiences definitely helped with everything. Like, and it's funny because you look back, you write it, then you look back and you're like, oh, this is like a combination of this person and that person and whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I actually wrote a line in there that years later somebody said to me verbatim. I was like, now, I don't.
What?
Right. I was like, now, I don't want to go through what these people go through in this book now. But, you know, that's kind of how it all started for me.
Wow, that's awesome. And so from the moment you started until the moment you put the last period or whatever it was on that last page, how long did it take you?
6 years.
Okay.
So, because I was pretty much started, I was a freshman in college, you know,
Right.
and graduated and all of that. And so then, you know, just kind of went through bouts of, is this really what I always knew that's what I was going to do, was like, how was it going to happen? You know what I mean? So I just had to kind of go through all of that and kind of get myself in a position to be able to make it happen for myself. So it took some time though.
I think, but when you say it took some time, as a freshman in college, to finish a book in 6 years, as you're going to college and then building a career, I don't think that's a long time. I think you did that.
A labor of love right
Yeah.
there.
Well, and because it's not like you could, there's writers out there like the Nicholas Sparks of the world that can just write. They don't have another job, But it's people like us that have a day job, but they still birth that and stick to it. And I mean, were there times you wanted to give up? Were there times you never thought you would finish? Like, kind of go through the emotions of, because Zeddy is writing a book, which is what spawned this whole radio segment, because I keep on her and on her and on her because she's got all this inside of her, and then she'll go, but man, I've got writer's block, or man, I just don't feel motivated right now. And so talk to us about what emotions you went through in those 6 years.
I definitely went through, kind of dealt with some self-image, insecurities there. Like, I knew I had something to say, but it was kind of like, am I ready for when I say it?
Like
know
the
what I mean?
critique?
Not the critique, just whatever came with it, I guess, critiquing, or just if it exploded and, I made it big, or whatever making it big is, you know what I mean? I think I kind of felt a way about that. Like, I don't know if I'm ready, like, because
Right.
always growing up, I just always had something to say, but sometimes I didn't think people wanted to hear it, like it might sound stupid or something like that. So dealt with that. And again, just being in a position to actually make it happen. Money was always a big thing for me. It was like, because I've always had a commission-based job for the most part, or something, that was salesy or whatever. And so it was never like steady, and when it would get going good, then something would happen and the career, wouldn't work, whatever wouldn't work out. And so it wasn't until I think the past 2 years, I have so many people that have come out with books that I know of, that I went to college with, and just so on. And I was just finally like, you know what, you got to make this happen. And I just started getting things in gear. It started last year with just building a team, doing my research and just figuring out what it was that I needed. Because I actually tried to do this 3 years ago and kind of hit some bumps in the road.
So it took you 6 years. During that process, and I'm sure you had to research and go, okay, now how do I do this, and how do I do that? Did you make outlines to keep you on track? I mean, like when I'm writing my book, like I'll write maybe 5 or 6 chapters, and then I'll take maybe a couple of weeks off, and then I have to go back and remember where I left off and how to keep the flow going so that it all makes sense. So what was your process like?
When I wrote this book, there was no process. I just wrote, and I actually kind of write backwards. I wrote the middle and the end and had to go back and build the beginning.
Oh, that's
wow.
interesting. Tell us about that.
Well, so there are 3 chapters, which are the beginning chapters of this book, that are not in there. It starts out with Skylar is reading through her book of thoughts, aka her diary. And so I never really went back and touched on anything in there. But so I omitted it, and then I just kind of had to figure out, like, okay, I had to see where the story was, where did I start it? And then I had to kind of sit down and think, like, okay, now I have all this information, and how I'm going to piece everything together.
Well, and that's curious that you say that, because, and we talked about this in the first segment with Zeddy, one her book's really really good, and she'll call me and read me chapters, and I could stay on the phone listening to it forever because it's just really good. But she read me 4 chapters once, like in a row. It took like 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, we were on the phone for a while, and then I was like, okay, well, how much time went by in the book? And she was like, oh, that was just a day.
Oh, wow.
I know. So,
Right.
and I'm like,
I'm
man,
just
this is going to be this is going to be an encyclopedia.
Listen, it's okay because my editor, that's what an editor is for. They'll
Okay.
get you together. So you just write, and I can't do an outline. Maybe once the story is already kind of there, then I can kind of see, okay, how can I do some things? But I feel like I'm in a box. I can't flow like that. I have to just freestyle it, but if you're someone who has to like write it down and do all of that, then you do that. But for me, I just had to go with the flow.
Right.
It takes me forever to come up with something if I try to outline how it's gonna go.
Well, and that's what she do. She just writes, because I was like, just
Just
stream
write.
of consciousness. Don't think about periods. Don't just write.
Don't worry about grammatical whatever.
I don't.
Because
Girl, I'm over here phonetically
shit.
sounding stuff out. I'm like,
listen, that is not my test. That's not my purpose. Is to
Yeah.
punctuation and all of that. I just write, and then you hire a professional to take care
My
of that.
sister
for
read it,
you.
and she was like, "Does Zeddy know what a period is,
the big
well, I
the
thought
whole
I
run-on
did.
run-on sentence.
or commas?"
Yeah. No,
No.
my first, I think the first chapter, the editor was like, 50 pages. It was a lot of pages. She was like, that's a little too long for just to be like one chapter. I'm going to have to break all this up. I'm like, I started this book almost 20 years ago. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Do what you do.
Do what you do. That's what you get paid to
Yeah.
do.
I have a question. Okay, how did you come up with the idea of your book? Like, where was it birthed out of?
I mean, like I said, the dialogue woke me up out of my sleep, and then I just started writing. But that gave, I mean, literally,
So it came to
was
you
playing
almost
in my
like
head.
in a dream.
It was like
consciousness?
maybe it was like someone was in the room and they just started talking, and then I literally just kind of sat up and was just like, okay, because I've been saying I'm gonna write it,
Right.
and I always said I didn't know what it was gonna be about, and then finally the Lord has given it to me,
That's
so I just had to
awesome.
write it down.
So it was inspired.
I guess it was, but yeah, when I look back, like as I had to build the characters' lives and the things that they were going through, of course, I pulled from all of the experiences that I've been through. Like you can see so many people, like my hometown, my people, good old Hot Springs, Arkansas, they're gonna get that book and try to figure out who is who, because there are some who's in there.
Right. Well, and I wondered that because when Kathy was talking and with what you just said, because she was like, oh, the guy that lived in the car for 40 years or the cross-dresser, like those people have to know who they are. I mean, are you worried about that? No?
Just
no.
don't-
No
just
one's
don't
in a
eat
bad
any
light.
pie and
No.
you're good.
No one's in a bad light. Like I took the personas of some people and just kind of gave their characteristics to some people in there. Like I mentioned people that I went to college with, because that's where I was at that time. That's all I knew. So I just kind of pulled from that experience in the day to day that I had with them to kind of help me with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we are here with Crystal Tollett. We are talking about her amazing book, and it's Bonded by Hate, Torn Apart by Love. And we are going to be asking her some more great questions on the technicalities of writing a book. And you're listening to Level Up with Tiffany and Zeddy, Thursday from 7 to 9. All right, guys, we are here with Leveled Up with Tiffany and Zeddy on Thursday night, 7 to 9. And we've got Crystal Tollett in the house. Woo! Which, there it is. That was perfect, Strip. Way to go. We love our applause.
I love to hear it.
Again, we want to say thank you for coming on. We are always very, very thankful for our guests. And I really want you to kind of tell our audience a little bit about what the book's about. So kind of give us just a summary.
Okay, so this book is about how we are naturally attracted to people in relationships that aren't good for us, and the roles our insecurities play in shaping those relationships.
Oh. Ouch.
That's the deep
Yeah.
version of it. So
Yeah.
take that premise and throw two people together who are, have feelings for each other but don't know how to communicate,
Okay.
and pretty much flirt
That's
with
my
their-
life story. Did you write that book about me?
Yeah,
Let me introduce you to Zeddy Carnell.
Yes.
I think we all have that in us. We just do, because all of us have insecurities. So who are your main characters?
Skylar James.
That's a good name.
Thank you. Michael Walker, Gina Newval, and Nico Walker. So those are the characters. So Skylar is the oblivious one. So she, you know, everyone loves her. That's what she says. Michael, he has, let's see here. He has not emotional issues, but he has commitment issues. But
Okay.
not in the sense of he's a cheater, just in the sense of he's scared to be
Commit.
hurt.
Oh,
yeah.
to get hurt.
To get hurt.
Got it.
You know, and to love. Gina is kind of the answer. That's her persona. She always, you have a problem or something going on, she got something to say about it, you know? And then
I don't know anybody like that.
Right. And then Nico is the free spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much there are no misconceptions about him. Like you get what you see when it comes to him. He's very he doesn't follow any rules.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And has this book dropped yet? I mean, is it?
So, website is up. It's ready. Books are ready to be ordered. The book launch is October 17th, so that's
October
when the book
17th.
drops.
Okay.
I'm really
Orders
excited
will be
about that, by the
shipped.
way.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
I'm going to
as
dress
well.
all up.
And
Yes.
where are you going to be selling it? What platforms?
On my website, crystaltollett.com is pretty much where you can go to learn all things about myself and about the book. We have a book trailer on there, which is
Okay.
super cute and cool, and I think it tells a nice story. The
Okay.
music tells the story.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
have to make sure your volume is up
Yes,
and
turn
just
your volume on.
and just let it go. It'll really just kind of set the tone
Yeah.
for what to expect.
Okay, so, and then is it going to be on, how does it work when you publish? You're self-published?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how that worked for you.
So my publishing company is Working Purpose Publishing. And so how I went about self-publishing is I started with an editor. The second editor that I had gave me a lot of good insight, as to, because she helped people with them self-publishing. She had self-published herself. So she really kind of gave me the foundation for everything. We, ended up parting ways. And so now my latest editor, which is Super Bomb, but she
Super
kind of,
Bomb.
yeah, she set the foundation. And then I just Google smoogled. Watched my YouTube videos. You can do all this, yourself. As a real estate professional, you handle things all day. You're making things happen. You're doing all the research. So that's just what I, did with this.
Did you say Google Smoogle?
Google schmoogle.
What is it? Just does that just
Get
Googling?
on Google.
Okay.
And,
I was
whatever
like, did I miss-
question you
have
have.
I missed something? Google Schmoogle.
Google schmoogle
I
away.
like it. So does it automatically go when you self-publish? Does it automatically go on Amazon, or do you have to?
No.
Is that another step?
That's another step. If you want to, so with me, I'm publishing through myself. I'm handling all of everything, the editing, the media, the website, the distribution, all of that. When you go with like Amazon and those people, they have certain guidelines that you have to kind of follow and
Okay.
certain price points that they kind of set certain books. So it's a lot different because you don't control everything, and you're splitting a lot of whatever the profit is.
Okay.
You
So
know?
in order to get it on Amazon or to publish through Amazon, they take a cut of the books, and you chose to keep it in house.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do that, and I know you've got some questions, and I don't mean to ask too many, but I'm super intrigued with when you did that. Do you have to say, okay, people are going to start ordering, so I need to have books on hand? Like, how does that work?
So, okay. So I have a local printer, which gave me great insight, and he can turn books around in 2 days.
Oh,
So you
okay.
got to build your team.
Yeah.
You're going to need a printer.
Oh, that's good. You got to build your team,
You got to
Zeddy.
build your team.
Let's build a team.
Here. You got to get an editor. You have to have if an illustrator if needed. I didn't go the graphic designer route. I had a vision in my head for the book cover, for the book trailer, that I needed someone to illustrate. I didn't want to deal with stock photos and things like that. I wanted it to be a little different. So I found, the editor, the illustrator, the printer, and then the post office, media mail. that's how you can distribute, you know.
Media mail is so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had that option the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, should I tell them that this is a book when it's really not?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't. I was honest.
Yeah, you just gotta start building your team and just asking the questions. Ask the same questions to the different people, even though you might already know the answers. They might throw something else, a little nugget or something like that in there for you. But I never really got into the process of publishing with Amazon, because when I first came out with the book 20 years ago, you know, with the title, I always knew I was going to do it myself. So that was never a route that I wanted to go. But I do know people who have. And, you know, I have a client who her kid published a sci-fi book. And she was just like, I could have did all this kind of like myself, you know? So sometimes some people don't want to, and you want to go that route. Some people are just want to put it on there so that more people will have access to it, because it's hard to kind of build your following and all of that.
Oh, so if you don't publish through Amazon, will they not sell your book?
Because it just, no, you have to be published through them. They have different levels, I guess, of compensation that you can kind of choose from.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I never delved into that. I just
Yeah.
kind of go off of what I've heard and what I've read in
Got it.
regards to it. But I just knew I always wanted to be in-house myself.
Got it. Okay. Zeddy?
So your book release is when is that again?
It's October 17th.
Is that open to the public?
The launch party is private, but I mean, people can start pre-ordering the book now
Okay.
On your website.
on my website,
Okay. And what's your website one more time?
crystaltoilette.com.
Okay.
crystaltoilette.com.
Yes. And we could, I don't know if Strip could put that up on the feed. You have it on the sheets I just gave you? Her full name? Well, that's awesome. So, what else? Editing, was that, we've talked about editing. We talked about how to put it together, which I think is valuable, because that, I think a lot of people get caught up in that, is how to write it. And that's been your biggest thing, is how do I fit 15 years into one book? How do I skip and jump around, right? So, so what else you want to know over there?
I would say on that, you might look at it as, could this be a series? So you don't have to maybe put everything into one book. Just try to figure out, okay, different, kind of break it up.
Thought about doing a time hop as well. You know, my writing style is very much, I see it as a movie in my head.
Me too.
And so, you know, I know the overall story. I know the characters. I know what it needs to sound like, look like, feel like. But it's like going from A to Z and carrying that story to where it makes sense in every chapter. And so, talking to, Miss Kathy and other authors, I'm just going to write this. I've just been writing the story to get it out, and then I'll just kind of piece it together and put the chapters that I want. But it's hard because my character starts out at 15 years old, and at the end of the book, she's 25.
Okay.
So it's a coming of age story of a young girl. So, I'm a great writer, but I've never written a book.
Yeah.
So
I would say just write it all down, and then if you are still having problems with kind of breaking it up, save it for your editor. Let your editor figure that out.
how did
for
you find your editor? Just through Google?
No, actually through Thumbtack.
What?
Thumbtack.
Thumbtack's a place you can go, almost like Angie's List,
Okay.
but it's people that do stuff.
I've been using Fiverr a lot.
A lot of
for
people,
things.
yeah. So, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I joined a lot of different Facebook author groups, and so I just I'll comment here and there, but I like to, everyone, if they have questions on things, they're like putting them in there, and so everybody is like giving their advice. And I've heard Fiverr before. I think I have a friend who has a website for her, what is she? She makes novelties or whatever, and
Okay.
she used Fiverr for a lot of things, but I went to Thumbtack because this was my third editor. I started out with someone who really hadn't edited a book before, and this was long time ago.
Okay.
And then 3 years ago, I had another editor, but again, she fell off the face of the earth. And thank God she kind of did, because there
Because you
were
got
things
what?
in the book
Awesome Bomb.
that she
what
didn't
is it called?
catch.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm not
Bomb
going to say who
awesome.
that was, but she kind of sucked.
What are you hoping? comes from this book? I mean, what's your overall? Are you trying to impact culture with this? I mean, is it a story, obviously about relationships? So was that something that touched you, and that you're hoping that you can bring about some type of healing or some type of? I mean, why did you write the book?
Well, after I wrote it and just kind of looking back at it and seeing how flawed these characters are, it's just a good book to help people recognize the dysfunction that the dysfunction that they have in certain relationships and the role they play for attracting the same things over and over again. Because when you read the book and you kind of go through it, different things happen throughout, and it'll happen with a set of characters, and then it'll come back around where it's being done again with the difference. It's just like they're repeating habits, and they're not coming to terms with why
They're
this
not
is
figuring
happening.
it out.
Yeah, so
They're
I think it's
cycles,
just
essentially.
people just recognize the cycles, the dysfunctional cycles that they have in their lives in different relationships.
Do you ever see your book turning into like a play, like a Tyler Perry
Listen,
play?
when I
Or
would tell people the title and they didn't know what it was about, they'd be like, "Oh, that sounds like a great play." And I was like, "Well, actually, I see it as a movie. I definitely see it as a movie. I mean, I never thought of it to be a play. That was never really a desire. I always saw it going to film. And so, like you, I see it
see it as a
playing in my
movie.
head.
who do you have casted as your characters?
Oh my gosh.
Because that's why she knows.
I already have mine.
Let me tell you. So, I mean, listen, if I can get myself together, I would play Skylar James. I don't know if too many people are going to like my character, but I would play myself. And I see Michael Walker, maybe Michael Ealy. There's this cute guy on Instagram that could play him. His name is Zion, and then possibly just off looks or whatever. But Michael Ealy, I think I might have been in love with him back in the day when I started writing it. That's
Right.
where the
So
name
now
Michael
that's where
came
you-
from.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Gina Newval. Regina Hall. As I've been rereading the book, just making sure everything is looking real good, I just picture her saying, she's Gina for sure. I hear her all
Who's
through
Regina
that.
Hall?
Regina Hall is played in Think Like a Man. She was in a bunch of those
Oh,
scary movies,
right.
Yes. Yes.
the comedy ones or whatever. And okay, Nico Walker, Rainbow Sun Frax. That is who I know, right? So
I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
But it's a
I'm
cool
gonna
name.
Google it. What is it?
I mean, okay, so
Say it one more time.
Rainbow Sun Frax. I can't. It's like FR.
Oh, here he
and
is.
some change. I
Yeah.
love him.
Oh, he's cute.
Yeah, he's super everything. His sister played on A Different World.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's cute.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see him?
There's-
Different world.
Yeah,
Lisa
and so
Bonet.
yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
Freddie is the character that played Freddie
Okay.
is his sister
Okay.
in real life. I see him. I found
Moon
him.
Fry. Soleil. Isn't her name Soleil Moon Fry?
Cree Summer.
Chris. I'm getting the.
Oh yeah,
Man, y'all got all kinds of names.
I
don't
did. I got
remember.
that all
Summer.
messed up. Cree Summers. Yes.
Cree
I
Summer.
loved her hair.
Okay, I do not mean to interrupt, but I want to get before we've
Got
only
2
got a couple
minutes.
minutes left, and I want to know your 3 things that you would tell people to level up, to get to the next level, to whatever's inside of them, how to get it out. Like, what would you tell our listeners from your journey? 2 to 3 things that you think they could do.
Okay, number 1, you need to meditate and pray. You need to have some oneness and just, get yourself together spiritually, I believe. 2, you need to believe in yourself, And then 3, you need to build a team. You can't do any of this by yourself. You need support, And
Love
so
that.
those are my 3.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. We've learned a lot, and I can't wait to read your book. You guys go out to crystaltollett.com and pre-order her book. It's amazing. It's about relationships. Next week, we have a very special show on entrepreneurship called I'm a Boss, and we have some
I'm a
very
boss.
special guests that will be in-house. We have Daniel Smiley, and we have Rock Robinson of eCara. It's the first electrical car service that's like an Uber or Lyft, but it's in Tesla. So you'll want to check that out. If you own your own business or you're starting of owning your own business, you'll want to watch the show next week entitled I'm a Boss. So this is Zeddy and Tiffany with Level Up Radio at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas through Fishbowl Network Radio from 7 to 9 every Thursday. Don't miss out on a chance for you to level up in life.